You're listening to Life Check Yourself with life coach, transformational leader, and dating and relationship badass, Marni Batista. Every week, you'll get the raw truth from top experts and real people on the important life and love issues you want to know about. So if you're ready to life check yourself in your relationships, your career, and the areas of your life that matter most to you, and you're not afraid to be called out on your stuff, then you're ready for what's next.
Life Check Yourself with Chris Gillis. The subtle ways you may be sabotaging your love life.
Ladies, well, I'm in Atlanta, so I always say, oh, my Lanta. And now I'm actually in Atlanta, so I can say, oh, Atlanta. And it's like, oh, at last. I'm finally talking to Chris Gillis about Love is Blind. So I just want you all to know that I failed you because my daughter came to visit and watched one episode of Love is Blind. I believe it was episode 5. And then she was like, what do you mean you only watch one at a time? And I watched the whole thing in like 3 days.
Totally.
Easy. I cheated on you.
I know. I don't let Jeremy know this. This would be a topic on the show. Does your partner have control, self-control? Can you trust them to not binge watch Love is Blind? Next episode.
Yeah. So here's the thing. There's so much to talk about, and we could talk a little bit about episode 5, and then we'll just kind of talk about, what the show as a whole and the whole concept of Love is Blind, because I think, and also I binge watched The Ultimatum. Oh, forgive me, Father, for I have sinned, TV Father. Anyway, so I just think there's a lot of juicy stuff here. So let's just begin with episode 5. Because if we talk, and so there's going to be spoilers, people. So if you don't want to know, then
Can we just get out here, Marni? Did you love it? Did you love it?
Did I love it?
You binged it. You couldn't stop.
I couldn't stop. You know what? It was good TV. I was very shocked at the ending.
Mm-hmm.
I think, well, so let's just start with so let's start at the end. Because I think what was frustrating for me was that they have these incidents that happen off camera that are really integral to the outcome of the show. This also happened in The Ultimatum. Mm-hmm. And we don't see those things, but they're game changers, right? Mm-hmm. And so in Love is Blind, there's some things that happen that don't get shown and don't even get spoken about in the case of Shayne and Natalie and Mallory and Sal. And so that to me was just super annoying and frustrating, but also great TV. So I watched it. I mean, I think I enjoyed it, but I think that it was frustrating too at the end. So but I enjoyed it more than probably The Bachelor for sure.
Yes. That's all I want.
I just needed a little break. But let's talk about this whole concept of Love is Blind, because what's really interesting to me is that the couples that ended up getting married were probably the ones that I was watching and thinking, I don't really think that you two should probably get married. And the couples that seemed relatively free of drama and trauma ended up, not pulling the trigger. So I don't know. What did you think about that?
I also, had my jaw, and God, it's so exciting. We were like, God, they do such a good job editing. They do so good, giving us hope and showing these things like, oh, that makes sense. But, I suppose that's all relationships. And I always have to remind my friends that, hey, when I'm talking about a relationship, I'm editing. I'm not telling you all the 99% of the normal good things, how everything swimmingly goes across. I'm giving you the highlights of my show. that I'm, that are drama filled and all that. It's just like, so take it with a grain of salt. And so I think that's definitely, Netflix is able to kind of shake us from one side to one side. I was shocked. Emily was like, "What the heck?" I loved it. That's why I love this stupid show. It's so good. It's an emotional roller coaster, and I agree. I know you had some big issues because like Miss Danielle could use life checking herself a little bit.
Yeah, so let's just talk about them first. So Danielle and oh my God, Nick. So basically every time they show this couple, they get into petty circular arguments.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that if you were going to interview men, they feel like a lot of arguments with women are like that, where they're like, "What? I didn't. What? What are we even fighting?" And so I get that a lot. I think that's really accurate. But what is confusing to me is that they don't show them really working out that communication. And in the reunion, they're like, "Oh, those were just petty fights that we got in because of the pressure of the format of the show. And now we get along." And now suddenly, oh my God, Nick, is that his name?
Yeah, Nick. Yeah.
Suddenly Nick's a guy who dances on the counter and has dance parties.
Yeah, playing Guitar Hero.
Yeah, playing Guitar Hero. And, so that was kind of interesting. But what I think that it shows is there was some sort of thing, connection, love, commitment, desire. There was something underneath that those couples seemed to have, to where those other things were sort of like not non-negotiables. They weren't deal breakers. Those arguments or those issues seemed to be just things that you have to work out in a relationship. They were more like, perpetual problems that they just agreed that they would just keep working on. Like Jarrett and Ayanna, him being a night owl and her being like, an early bird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also want to say that with the, I think one of the cool things about those couples that I think that kind of made them work. Actually, now that I think about it, the other couples that were still sitting there, arms crossed, legs crossed, not owning they were, where they were at. But I thought it was even with both Ayanna, both Jarrett, and Danielle, they were like, "Hey, this is on me, and this is something." Yes, especially Danielle, she'd apologized. She's like, "I am so sorry, I'm this way, guys.
Right.
I hate it too." And and then Ayanna mentioned, she's going to therapy, and it seems like Danielle has as well. And I actually made a little early prediction. I don't know if I said this on our podcast, but I definitely told Dr. Emily, I was like, something tells me that she's just such a ball of nervous, anxious energy that once she is married, that some of that will subside, and she might stop picking all these crazy nervous fights. And that's just kind of, she's just picking at things to pick at things. And once she gets there, she may actually take a deep breath. Now, I'm not telling all the listeners out here, hey, if you're a nervous girl, just go get married. That'll solve everything.
No.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Well, they also said that they've gone to therapy, right, to work on some of their issues. They went to counseling, Nick and Danielle. They said we're in therapy, we're working on some of these things. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
One other really important thing, I think, is the concept of forgiveness. Mm-hmm. And not holding something against the other person, because in these early relationships, there are missteps, like Jarrett talking to Mallory in an inappropriate conversation, or staying out late, or Danielle freaking out at the hotel in Mexico. There are these pivotal moments. And what I see these couples doing that did get married is being able to let that go and forgive. And we don't know what's happening in the future, but they were able to move past it. And what I think was one of the biggest shocks to me was the whole Natalie and Shayne thing.
That's what I was going to say.
Because she did not forgive, and they didn't show us what happened. So, we see a scene and she's like, I'm 100% saying yes. And they're having a great time. Jeremy was like, before the show, even that episode ended, he was like, that can't be good to go get wasted the night before your wedding.
That's the dumbest thing. Why it was such a stupid American tradition. Why do we do this? And you know what? I think, and we were laughing. It all started from because did you see how pissed off he was that he struck out at the baseball game?
Yeah.
He was so mad. Anyway, I'm getting married tomorrow. I guess I'll have to figure it out. They're like, oh, you could tell that guy has a tough time finding his release valve, and he has so much, kinetic energy inside of him. And he is a guy that his partner is going to have to be somebody that goes, okay, can't hold on to grudges with that guy because he's going to say shit. He's going to knock things over, but he's also going to love really hard. And yeah, she was not the right gal for him. And you could tell it was still hurting her. She was still bringing it up like it just happened. It was sad that they never worked through it.
They didn't work through it. And when I thought of Natalie, I really honestly was like, these are a lot my clients. Like very successful, very organized, has a 401k, got the house, got, and I loved that at the beginning, she was like, this guy is helping me find the playfulness in me. This guy is helping me be spontaneous. Like, my parents are very different. Like, I want to be able to embrace those differences and also find, a common ground. And so in that moment of that argument where words are said, accusations fly, and things are said, it's like her guard just so easily defaulted back to like, the wall is up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's almost like she was looking for reasons why she couldn't go the whole way. And the minute he, really showed his warts and all, which we all have, because we've all said stupid shit to our partner, I think. Maybe just me, but
No. Wish we could walk back. Like, God damn it, that was out there. Did not mean that. It had nothing to do with you, or maybe a little bit to do with you. It was about work. It was about my family. Blah blah blah.
It's just like, I'm highly triggered right now. So, and so that made me really sad. And again, it's a reality show, so we don't know. But if, let's say, these were two dear friends of mine, I'd be like, wow, that's so sad that they couldn't get past that, or they couldn't work that out, because they seem still very much in love and in hurt. And I think one thing to learn from that is that if you're dating someone and a huge mistake is made, and again, it depends on if this is like the third date or 6 months in or something like that. But the lack of the ability to accept the apology, and she said, like, I think he said sorry to me like a bunch of times. And so
a million times over.
Right. And so this is a really important thing, ladies, is that we talk about this all the time. It's like she's hearing the I'm sorry. Right. And a lot of you can hear a feeling, what a feeling is supposed to be, but you're not feeling it in your body. And it was like she couldn't take in his love and his apology at her soul level. And I hope that she does, whether she ends up with him or not, because I'm afraid that she is going to have a really hard time now opening up, because that wall is there's no way I can open that door again. That was just my instinct. I don't know. What do you think?
Imagining the Game of Thrones impenetrable wall.
Yes.
You need the dragons to come through there and melt it down, because it's so, she's guarding it dutifully now. And no, I definitely got that. That's a great point you make, because it's like, I want you to say sorry, but it's still not enough. And he's like, fuck, I don't know what else to do at this point. And I think it's worth pointing out to the gals who are listening in, and also for you, Marni, as well, because both in me as well. I became kind of a fan of Shayne. I was starting off.
No, me too. Too.
The frick. Let's talk about the some of the green lights you saw, because all we saw was giant red lights. Maybe we, what did we learn more about him?
Wow. I think that what you said is that he's he loves hard. He's a little bit of a puppy dog, right? Like he's loyal and but he was really curious and he was playful and he was he seemed very, very committed to problem solving and that he really wanted to know and accept Natalie. And he seemed that he could see beyond her flaws, right? Like he seemed like he really wanted to know her and get her. And Natalie seemed like she had an idea of who she thought Shayne was. And then when it wasn't something she could control, she was like, I'm out. I can't control this. Like he's too big. And you had actually highlighted this quote, which I thought was really great, is she says, Natalie, I find you being so high energy exhausting. It's going to take me a little to get used to it. And he said, I'm not going to change who I am. And he, you know, so he came at her with whatever big energy, you know, like, and it wasn't, I'm sure it wasn't right. You know, I mean, like, we don't know what it was, but I'm not defending him. And I just think that she couldn't take it in context. She was just like, she has a rule, like, you know, if anyone speaks to me this way ever, like they're out. And I'm all for that. Like, I mean, honestly, if there was a way to, while I am the expert, I am not I'm not the guru, right? So like, maybe there are relationships that you and I don't know about where no one has ever said an ill word ever in 45 years, and God bless, like if that's your bottom line and you can find it, more power to you. You know, that's not been my experience. Because people are, in my experience, make mistakes. But so she has these rules, you know, and I just think that when you are looking to rule out rather than looking to rule in, you can say goodbye to a lot of potential, possibly overall good relationships. Yeah.
And I thought it was very revealing how he would just insist. And he's like, look, you've heard me say it over again and over again. I'm sorry. I was wrong. He's like, it's not fair to give me the 100% wrong. He was like, I need you to fight for this too. And she was just, nope, checked up. You fucked up because you said or did something that apparently she could take to the, I'm sure to her judge and jury and all of her friends say, yeah, absolutely. That's grounds for dismissal. But yeah, she just didn't really kind of want to be, even when she did kind of sort of say, yeah, I poked you or whatever, it was kind of talking like a third party-ish, almost like she was talking with somebody else. And it wasn't something like you mentioned that she was fully invested in wanting to actively change. And look, like you said, Shayne, he's probably gonna be permanently stuck in puppy mode. Puppies are fun. They drive you nuts, eat your shoes and furniture and pee on the floor and everything. And I think that's going to be, part of the cost to be with somebody like that. And you're right. I do see a lot of your ex-clients that do kind of have some of that Natalie really have it all together. And I'm not settling for this and I'm not settling for that versus like, okay, well, what can I deal with? And let's play and have some fun and forgive. And like just very rigid, I guess, like things have to be my way. And gosh, I hope that if they do if he continues, I think, to remain curious, even with his crazy, frenetic, anxious, ticky, crazy moving energy. He's say, you know what, this project he's working on himself. It's endearing, and I can, take all that stuff. Now, here's what's interesting too about Natalie. And I really give Shayne credit for this in the reunion where he's like, look, I have talked about my 50% like a bazillion times, but like it takes two, like, are you going to apologize? Like you had a really huge reaction to whatever it was that I said. I mean, again, the frustration is for me. I don't know what happened. So, but it took a lot for Natalie to say like, yeah, I probably reacted in a way that exacerbated your pain, right? Like, and so that was the thing. It's like, a lot of us need to make the other people wrong
like so 100% so that we can feel good about ourselves, right? To feel safe. And so we know that whatever happened in their relationship, like maybe what he said, which we have seen throughout their courting, is he felt like she didn't accept him for who he really was. And he was never enough. And that's what I think that men generally, when with a Natalie type, right? Like, I love you. You're so amazing, but do it my way. This isn't good enough. Why are you doing it like that? How come you don't know how to do this? Why are you, you know, like you should know better how to do this. And so he felt never good enough. And that sucks for him. So I think, you know, in the end, like maybe she could really accept him the way he accepted her. And that it's a blessing that they didn't end up together. So
you said she never really could accept. And you know what? Yeah, I'll talk about that, and because that's part of relationships. And I think all of us, even in health relationships, would be like, I want my partner to change, right? Yeah. And at what line do we do? Where do we say, you know what? How do you deal with that? Because I guarantee you, there's some things, right, that you were like, God, I wish Jeremy was different. And you know me, I wish my woman was different. Like, fuck. But here we are. I love you. Warts and all, as you said.
I think so that's just it. Like if the partner that you're with never feels like they're good enough, then it's going to be really hard. And I know that I can be critical for sure. And whether it's validated or not, but I don't like being criticized either, you know? And what happens is if you start criticizing, then the other person starts criticizing just to make it like a fair fight. And so I think it goes back to what we always talk around on this show, in this series that we are always doing, is what are your deal breakers? You know, like what are your deal breakers? And so it seems to me that most people want to have some sort of sense of acceptance or feeling, you know, not being criticized or some sort of value around integrity, whatever it is. And so those are the things you have to pick. And then the other things are going to be debatable, like, are you messy? I'm clean. Can our dog and cat get together? You know, are you okay that I talk to my exes because they're friends, right? Like those can either be like deal breakers or they can be like things you need to work through that you're constantly having to reshuffle around.
I love it. Let's chat. Also, I want to hear your opinion because we haven't had to talk about this. I've been dying to ask you, what about the other huge, like, what the hell, breakup at the altar with Sal and Mallory?
I don't get that one at all. We've talked about this in the earlier episodes about Love is Blind, where we see one moment of Mallory being like a bro with Jarrett. And then after that, she's really like sweet and kind and soft, and he's serenading her and he's doing picnics for her. And they were so private. We have I have no idea. I even like went online. I was like, what's the scoop? I couldn't find anything about what went on behind the scenes that they had a date or they had a conversation after. And they're like, yeah, no. I literally am speechless about that one because I just feel like there was a whole set of shit that we will never know about.
He is the most calmest person on earth. And I think, the cameras were probably, fucking Cameron probably like dropping the cameras, falling asleep as they're filming him because he's so secure and balanced and he just doesn't take the bait. And it was like even the calm breakup they did. It was like, there's no energy. He's like the complete opposite of Shayne. It was so interesting. And I don't know. I feel all the internet girls like, I want to sell. Even Emily was saying that. I was like, do you? I don't know if I was getting jealous of him, but I was like, good, because I don't know. It seems kind of boring. And
no, not boring.
John,
no, not boring.
Do you want to sell?
What I like about Sal is that he seemed like he really, now I was going to say really listened, but apparently he missed the whole thing about like getting her a gold or a silver ring. Like,
true.
Sorry, I don't know about that. I missed that too.
Deal, by the way?
I don't think so, because I was going to say he seems like he listened to her. He validated her. He reassured her. He was romantic. He did romantic gestures. He gave her space. I kind of feel I can't see any like giant red flags with Sal. And so for him to say no, I literally don't get it. They had a similar familial situation. We also don't know why Mallory's family didn't come. That was like, she kept saying, I'm sorry, my family. Like, did they not approve that? They were, that was like jaw dropping and all of that. But I can't say that it was like, from a show point of view, I was like, I don't even get this. Like, there's so many gaps. Like, the characters aren't well drawn. We don't know. We just know there was the sister who was skeptical and she was there, and that was kind of it. And then at the altar, she's like, oh, okay, bye.
My take was that she was a little like how I was with my ex. Meaning that everyone was like, oh my God, he's so perfect. You're so lucky. I would do anything, that's what I want. And she's like, oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. I'll just keep trying and trying. I felt she's never is into him as much as she should have been to get married him. I didn't feel like she appreciated his fucking songs and his like you were saying, like his amazing listening skills, and to really put that on a pedestal and give it all that it's due, and that she did kind of wasn't quite ready. I don't know if it was ready, it just wasn't.
And maybe that's it, because I felt like she got really emotional when she was able to receive all that good juju and love.
Yeah.
And she said, I've never, been treated like this, and I really want to be able to be in this kind of relationship. And again, it's the subtle, and this is why clients work with us, which, by the way, if you want to, you can watch our webinar on datingwithdignity.com. Because, and I say this all the time to ladies that have a history of, being the common denominator in all their failed relationships. I'm like, if I put you in a room and I go, this guy, he's your soulmate. Like, I've done all the math. I've done it. Like, he's perfect for you. Or I put you in a room with 10 perfect guys and you pick one. Without an intervention, often, ultimately, that person will sabotage if the guy is treating them really the way they want to be treated, because it feels so uncomfortable that they'll push him away, that they'll not be able to receive that. In the Danielle sort of like picking fights and creating drama where there is none, or Natalie, like, you made a mistake. Oh, thank God. Now I don't have to really open up and let my guard down.
Sure.
And so maybe for Mallory, that's sort of the way it was. So I don't know. One thing that I really liked, and I'm going to go back to Jarrett and Ayanna and talking about taking responsibility and being like emotionally mature, aware. I love the way Jarrett was like, that was a mistake. That was inappropriate. I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry I hurt you. Instead of saying, well, the reason was because, blah, blah, blah. Or, well, it makes sense because I was blah, 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 blah. And that's kind of what Mallory did, was like, she made up some excuses about why she was, we hadn't seen each other. We had to close the lips. I really like, I like a guy who can say, like, this was my shit. I fucked up. Let me work on it, instead of like having to give the preamble.
Yeah. And I think Ayanna makes it easy for him, because she does the opposite. She didn't do it, Natalie. She's like, thank you. I hear you. That, that means a lot. Okay. And she even said, she's like, you know what? She said it hurt. And, and it felt, they had to watch it separately. She was saying going back. But I didn't get the sense that she was still lingering on and still angry at him. Definitely not the way Natalie was with Shayne about one thing, about his one blow up fight. So I feel like she was able to forgive him, which is huge. She really, truly, he sincerely gave her the apology, and she sincerely forgave him. And I think that's why they were able to kind of wake up and start from a clean slate each day.
So I can't believe we've already been going for 30 minutes. So before we finish, we have to talk about Shake and Deeps.
God, Lord.
Props to Deeps for being like, I don't want to be your aunt. I don't want to be the one that you're like trying to like find a way, you know. And apparently from the reunion, there was a whole lot of like really worse stuff that this guy says. He is a real douchebag on the reunion show. But the bottom line is, take away from that. What do you think? Take away from their relationship.
What's the takeaway from their relationship? Takeaway from the relationship is that, that love is blurry, and that he was right, and that I do think that there should that there does need to be some physical attraction, some spark, and he, for one reason, I think he's not ready yet. He's so just like you mentioned a second ago about being able to take accountability and say, I fucked up, or I own these sort of things. All the guy came out was childish excuses for everything. It was ugly. I was strange. I was going to sleep. I watched it late last night, and I was like, what in the world just happened? Who is that dude?
I know, it was so odd. What's interesting, and you and I talked about this before, and I don't know the answer, but when she first came out in the first episode, or where they meet, the reveal, he's like, oh my God, you're so hot. He's grabbing her ass, da da da. Then all of a sudden he's like, you're my aunt. And then at the wedding, she walks down there, he's like, oh my God, you look so hot. He was totally going to say yes. So like, he was conflicted. Like, I don't understand that. And I don't get that at all. And I think really in the end, what he said on the reunion, which I think was telling, was like, we're here to stay on the show for as long as we could. And they're like, no. And so I think maybe what we didn't see was him being a douchey, like a lot more, really trying hard. I mean, he even tells his mom, and she says, do this girl a favor. She's a great girl. Break up with her. That he just wanted to stay on the show. I think he did think she looked hot at the wedding. I think that he was going to say yes.
Yeah, he said that. That was strange. What in the world? That was strange. He said, if she would have said, what in the fuck?
Well, because here's the thing. Because I think that, and this is again, and I'm not doing a commercial for me, but what I will say is that I think that there's a part of us that's like, I know that I should be with this person. It's Mallory. Like, this guy treats me well. This woman is like amazing. Like, she's everything and more I thought I wanted. But like, my patterns and my wiring are like closing up something inside of me, and I can't receive this amazing person. And so I think that he's like he's man-volving, like there's the party boy, like festival guy. And then there's like, I'm a grown ass man.
Yeah.
This woman is attractive. Like I was wanting to have babies with her, 3 weeks ago. So I think he's just conflicted. I think that his ego is really fragile. And when he got rejected, like immediately he just turned into like that kid in high school that's like, I meant to do that, bro. He just turned into that guy, and he never could recover.
Yeah. Whereas, when like Sal did it, it was so beautiful. He like talked to the family. He goes, I just want to, say some words to the family who made it this way and supported us. Remember he talked to Mal's family. It was such a different versus like, it's like, we're all going to, what's up, y'all? We got reservations to Nobu. Let's party.
Yeah. I was like, who are you, weirdo? And I wondered why on the reunion show, I was disappointed that Vanessa Lachey used that time to like school him. Really? Instead of saying, which was like, so Shake, like, let's talk about your reaction to the rejection. How did that make you feel? Is there a reason why we hear you say you were going to say yes, but you were obviously really hurt and put up a wall and, wanted to party? Like, how are you feeling about it now?
What did she start fighting about and said? What was more?
She was just like, you're rude, you treat women with a lack of respect, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, you can't win that fight. Exactly.
No,
right?
so I would have like wanted to know, like upon reflection, What did it feel like to get rejected? At least have him say like, oh, well, in the end, she did me a favor because she's a, she's a loser. Give him a chance to just answer the question because I was super, super curious about that. So we covered Nick and Danielle. We covered Mallory and Sal. We covered Shayne and Natalie. And we covered Deeps and Shake. Did we cover everybody?
I just forgot about good old Kyle and Shaina.
Well, here's what I like about Shayne.
Or Shayne.
Shayne, because they keep this Shaina chick around, obviously, to try and get some drama. And nobody was having it.
She's good too. She was surgically good. She was putting all of his buttons, all of his words of affirmations. God, I was blown away. She was fucking like a genius good.
Yeah, and he was looking at her like, what are you? I felt like Shayne was looking at her like, what are you talking about? Like on The Bachelor, that would have totally flown.
Oh my God.
Like she should be on The Bachelor for sure.
Yeah.
She's got the face. She was like looking like
the squint with
the like duck lips. It was like
the duck lip squinty look every time she disagrees with somebody.
Yeah, that was so weird. But this is a different show, and people are having real conversations. And so Shayne was just sort of like, "What?" Like it doesn't even make sense. So, and that really showed how much he loved Natalie, and he was like, "Let's just put this to bed." Like, so yeah, I mean, I think that. And Kyle, we talked about this on the other episodes. She's just not that into you. Duh. Like let it go. And the Lachey is like saying, like she kind of said that to you 5 times. Why didn't you listen? And he's like, well, I was committed. I was this. I was that. Bullshit. I mean, just she wasn't into you.
Was she playing hard to get? Yeah, because there's a thing, right? Guys like there's a cat and mouse game. Yeah, I think he was like, oh, she's just, she's really good at being a mouse. Okay, I got to keep going on for a while. But then I don't know if something, again, if it was a weird edit or if she did give him more off camera. But yeah, at some point, guys got to stop fighting for you, right?
I mean, yeah, like if it just, yeah. So they just brought her back to try and stir up some drama. It was painful to watch. And she was wearing the hat. I love that he's like, why are you wearing that in Chicago?
Oh, really? He said that. What was she wearing?
She was wearing like, she looked cute. She was wearing like a cowboy hat and like.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Shayne, you're talking about Shayne. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, I don't get the outfit. She's like, Utah cowboy. And he's like, okay, we're in Chicago. The guy has no filter. I loved that.
Yeah.
He was like, but basically he was saying to her, like, you're hot, but like, I am impenetrable. I love Natalie. Like, because he used to ask her in the pods, what are you wearing? She'd be like, a crop top.
Yeah.
So obviously, visually, he was just like, why are you wearing a cowboy hat in Chicago? I don't get it. So that was amazing. But yeah, I think that I would vote for her to go on another show and she would do much better. And what I said to Reality Raina, my daughter, was, bless your soul. They were like, Shake, you're on the wrong show. And I'm like, honey, you're not good looking enough to go on any of those other shows.
Oh, damn.
But he's not. He's not.
No. I know. He's not Matt James and Tyler Cameron and nothing on those things. So he worked. I do think that he's fiercely insecure, and that's why I think he's leaking, as you say, with his feeling, not being able to perceive the attractiveness in another, woman of a similar, race. And I think, he's got some issues. And so it's going to be a lot of dating. Hopefully, I don't know. People are talking about unfollowing him on the show. Even Nick was like, dude, I can't stand you. He was sitting there like, I unfollowed you.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. And I think, I feel a lot of compassion for him. And I'm not saying like, you're not good enough because, you're a loser. No. I'm just saying like, he needs to have an awareness of himself. And yes, I mean, we're talking about products here, right? Like The Bachelor is a product, Love is Blind is a product, right? And it's so like, like we all are not going to go shop at, Versace, you know, like we're just not gonna be that, right? And so he's not that guy. So, but doesn't mean that he's not a great guy ultimately one day or a worthwhile human. I'm just saying, like, he is so judging everyone on their looks, and it's because he's judging himself. And the whole conversation about, like, you know, you're on the wrong show. It's like, bro, you're not gonna ever be on any of those other shows. So, bless and release. And that's the last thing I want to say before we end.
Hold on, before you sign off. Okay, rank your who out of the rank them in order of which men were life checking themselves. Would you be like, yep, these dudes are ready for my wonderful life checked evolved ladies?
Who would be good enough for? Who would be? See, I'm like the protective mother. Who would be good enough?
Yeah.
Sal.
Okay, number one, Sal.
Maybe Kyle. We don't know enough about him. I don't know though. Okay. He's clueless. Take that back. Maybe Jarrett.
Okay.
I don't know about Shayne yet. I don't know. I can't tell. Nick, yeah, he's a grown ass man. He's like 37 years old. He really wanted to get married. He's committed. He worked on himself. He was compromised.
Good furniture. He's got furniture.
He's a grown up.
Granite countertop. Okay.
Yeah, okay. He's a grown up. I think he was a nice guy. I would say all of these guys would be, look, I would tell my clients to go on 3 dates with all of them and do some data collection and figure it out for themselves.
Wow, even Shake. Maybe one, maybe 2 dates.
Well, it depends, you know, because he showed himself to be one person in the pods. So you rule them in until they rule themselves out. So here's the other thing, the last thing with that, and I wanted to mention this, and same with all of the proposals that didn't go down, you know, that were no's. It's like, have the freaking conversation before. You know what? Like, before we do this whole thing, like, just so you know, like, I feel like over the last 4 weeks, Shake, you just keep saying you're not into me, and I deserve someone who's into me, and I'm not going to accept that. So what are we going to do about it? And she came to that realization, like, you know, later, but like, have the conversation, you know? So, and same with the Mal and Sal, like, you know, it would have been cool if you would have been like, hey, I feel like you're not really reciprocating. I feel like I'm into you more than you're into me. Like, let's talk about it. And of course it's a show. So, and maybe they did, we don't know, but have conversations early and often.
And you're saying, this is crazy. So you're saying, yeah, how do you broach that vulnerable, hey, without making it about yourself, and not being, hey, like, you're not think I'm sexy, you haven't made a move on me, or do you not love my singing voice if you're Sal, and that I don't play sports and all? Like, how can you ask that and just give somebody that space to answer honestly and say,
I would just say, like, I feel like things are going real, and I've had this happen with clients. It's so interesting. They're like, all they want is a guy to, like, not just want to have sex with them, and then the guy gives them space and is respectful, and it feels so, they're like, what? And so it's like, hey, you know, I remember doing this even in my own dating, like, hey, you know, we're spending time together, but it's really not moving along. And I feel like, you know, that when we have dates, it's like only after you do other stuff in your life. Like, I'm looking for this. What about you? You know, I feel like sometimes I make up a story that, you know, you're not physically attracted to me. Like, am I making up a story, or is there like a lack of connection? Like, let's have a conversation about it. When you're rejection proof, meaning that you can have an honest conversation because you know that you're worthy. It's going to be painful, but it's the truth. And that's, I think, the bottom line is that love is not blind, and love is necessary but not sufficient, and that you need to know what your non-negotiables are, and you need to have honest conversations.
Love is not blind, but God damn, it makes for great TV.
Yes, it does. Okay, let's talk about the ultimatum on our next show. Okay. We'll do a deep dive of that. And then, ladies, let us know what you want. If you've got some ideas, shows, opinions, because we got some time in our schedule to continue the conversation. Chris, I love it. I'm glad we blew through it. It was good. It was like eating some candy bars. It was num 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 num. I felt a little sick, but you know what? It sure was tasty. All right, ladies, life check yourself. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for tuning into today's show. So if being in an intimate relationship in which you feel 100% seen, heard, and accepted by a high caliber man is a priority for you right now, and you're interested in seeing if you're a fit for working with me and my team at Dating with Dignity, here's what I want you to do. Just head over to DWD VIP. That's D as in dating, W, D as in dating, VIP.com, and book a call to speak with my team. We'll get on the phone with you for about 60 minutes and you'll get crystal clear on what's stopping you from finding true love right now. We'll also take a look at what you want to create, what you want your whole life to look like when you're able to finally be fully expressed as a woman in a healthy relationship with an incredible guy. And if we can help you get from where you are right now to where you want to be, we will show you the fastest path possible that makes sense for you to do that. We help smart, successful women all over the world solve this one missing piece in their life so they can finally have it all. So to see if we can help you do the same thing, head over to DWDVIP.com. I'm Marni Batista, and let's talk soon.